what's up? If you like board games, miniatures, and the smell of paint and glue, you are in the right place. Welcome to Boardgasm. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, let's do it. Episode 14, Boardgasm. Yeah. Oh boy. Come on in, folks. Welcome to Boardgasm. This is not evening hour, so it's a little different. And the tunes are different. That's why the song's different. And hey, what's up, people? Hey, what's up, Fallon, Basement, Axis Mundi, my mama and my sister, Kuru. Lockheed Martin is gonna eat my brain. I think they eat a lot of brains. What's up? Come on in, dude. This episode, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun. If you're not a gamer, you still are probably gonna have some fun with this. Welcome to Boardgasm 14. I don't do a lot of these. I like doing Boardgasm episodes, and here we go. So I'm quite excited. Where to begin? First of all, game news. We saw Dungeons and Dragons. What's up, Rick Sherman? The other day, and I liked it. It's great, but there is I can do a full critique of it in detail. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm probably going to do it on my next evening hour. Yes, it's fun, but it is not the Dungeons and Dragons that I adore. Meaning, the fluff, the vibe, the grittiness of what RPG role-playing game fantasy was in the 70s and 80s, the new version of what Dungeons and Dragons is not that. So it doesn't mean the movie's bad. I'm just saying it's different. And so that's what I'm going to talk about on the next evening hour live. I'll give it my review and break it down philosophically of the problems I had. But I will say I had fun. I loved it. It's an adventure movie. So, other board game news. We have had, in the last, I don't know, 10 years, kind of a board game renaissance. Meaning there are a lot of new board games. There's new game companies. There's a lot going on. And so, assuming the cartoon may have handled the content. No, that's a good question, Fallon. No. Like, for instance, there's no dwarves in the movie. There's two dwarfs in the whole movie. They just barely show them. Like, they're removing certain elements. Like, there's no religions. There's no... The races they're downplaying, and the races that they're upplaying are, like, dragon races. I mean, it's literally nothing to do with the Dungeons and Dragons I grew up with. It's gotten very far away from that, which is why we all play Dungeon Crawl Classics. Or, you know, there's other versions now. But it's not the same. But on the board game renaissance, oh my gosh, there's so many that I have to, like, the cartoon. Which cartoon? You're talking the 80s cartoon? Because the 80s cartoon they should have made in a movie. And I don't want to spoil it, but there's an Easter egg with the 80s cartoon in the new movie. I wish they just made that into a movie, the 80s cartoon. The characters are great. And it would sell better because it's kids, it's teens, it's like younger people, which I think makes more sense. Anywho, I have to decide what board games I'm going to buy because some of them are time consuming, meaning I got to paint all the miniatures. If you looked earlier on tonight's episode, which is we're going to go all things Munchkin. Uh-oh, who's calling me here? Whoa, 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 whoa. I turned my phone off and someone's calling me. I was going to show you this right here. No, not that. Hold on. This is weird. No one calls me this many times in a row. I should answer the phone live on the camera. Where's my... Oh, here, Boardgasm. Here, this! Munchkin Master, all things Munchkin. All hail Steve Jackson. That's tonight's episode. And, oh yeah, I keep sidetracking here. There's like multiple things going on here. Let me actually reset my phone. So, I wanted to show you a new game that just came out. This is a little hard to believe. I can't even show it to you. So, Simon Games, literally yesterday. Oh, I don't want to drop this. I don't know if you can see this stack of game. See this stack? It's literally, you know, this tall of game. That's one game, and it's Masters of the Universe. It is the new He-Man game from Simon Games. I literally just started reading the rule book. There are hundreds of miniatures. I will paint all of them. In the meantime, these miniatures here were for the Munchkin miniature game, which we'll talk about today. Munchkin is a card game, which is why we're here, but they made a miniature game, and we're going to talk about it. What else? I think that's it for game news. I didn't want to dwell too much on that because I kind of want to get into the subject tonight because there's a lot of... What's up, Achilles? There's a lot of people that have Munchkin. Rick Sherman, who's in the room right now, me and him have played Munchkin many times. He's a fan. But a lot of people have the game and don't play it that much. And even my friend Rick Sherman will tell you, what I'm going to show you tonight is I'm going to show you that the game is a little more than what people think. And I think even my buddy who's watching Rick, when he first started playing it, it seems kind of like what we call a beer and pretzels game. But the more you play it, it starts to turn into something new, which is why I want to talk about it tonight. Because I think a lot of you would appreciate what it has become. Now, before we get there, I do need to pour myself a drink. I have got my internet cup. Thank you. Who sent me this? One of my internet viewers. Was it Cassandra? I believe so. I have a couple people that have sent me some awesome presents. This is an amazing present. Clownvis got one too. And tonight I'm drinking Guinness Zero. Hydrogen. Listen to this when you open it, the sound it makes. I don't know if you can hear that. That's the sound of the hydrogen. Hydrogen-infused beverages I am a fan of. Why, thank you, Achilles. So, this is a live show. People donate. And hallelujah, I like it. Thank you very much, brother. That means a lot. Yeah, if you're the donating type, hey, I will not say no. I do these full-time. Thank you. If you're not, hit the like and subscribe. And say hi. This is a chatty show. We do these live. All right. Happy Monday. Delicious. Okay. One good rule is make sure you don't have drinks near your games. A lot of people put their drinks everywhere and then you knock them and then that's it. I don't do that. I'm a game nerd who takes care of his games. So where do we begin with Munchkin? Well, let's start with the guy who invented it, Steve Jackson. Now, I'm a big nerd, and ever since I was a little kid, I've been hanging out in nerdy board game stores. They were usually hobby shops that had a game section. So they sold model trains, scenery, paints, model kits, and they had a bookshelf with a bunch of nerdy stuff and metal miniatures. You couldn't go to You couldn't go to a toy store and find this stuff, and you certainly didn't find it in a bookstore yet. It wasn't mainstream. And I remember when I was a kid, seeing this game, and that was the actual price, $2.95. You can still get this. This is a tiny little game that uses paper maps and little chips and it's all little things. And it's a strategy game. So he invented this, and I remember seeing it in the store, but it was a little bit above my pay grade on the game stuff. It looked a little complicated. And then I saw Car Wars, which was another little set. Paper and pencil, you design a car, and then you map out on another piece of paper, these flat little paper cars that you race and try to shoot each other. There wasn't a form, nothing was form, everything's like paper and cheap, right? So then fast forward a little more, and then my real introduction to Steve Jackson happened. I discovered this. Folks, this is an amazing role-playing game called Toon. There are 4 books. They're very hard to find. This one I think you can get a PDF of online at the Steve Jackson website. This is an amazing role-playing game where you play a cartoon character. And it's kind of making fun of the genre of role-playing games. So this guy, Steve Jackson, he's making lots of games. Oh, there you go. Here you go. Somebody just bought Steve Jackson's Fantasy Trip today. Well, Fantasy Trip came from, thank you for mentioning that, it came from the idea of one of his other famous products of the 80s, GURPS, GURPS, which is generic role-playing rules. He was like, why do we have one genre and one rule set? Why don't I make a rule set that you can just use for any genre, whether it be fantasy, science fiction, Western. This is different. He actually changed the rules for this. So this guy's making games, and he's a very well-known figure in the game industry. And I just read something I never knew about. In 1990, so he started in 1980, Steve Jackson. I forget what year, but at some point here, I think it was in 1989 or 90, he was raided by the Secret Service, his company. Now, I don't know all the details, but the reason why the Secret Service raided him is in the GURPS game, Cyberpunk, there was some sort of hacking thing in the game, computer hack. And I guess the Secret Service thought it was real, just like in the late 70s, the Christians thought Dungeons and Dragons players were actually summoning demons. I think the government, a few idiots thought people were actually creating futuristic hacking devices. And so they raided him and confiscated a bunch of crap, found nothing. Then he had to fight to get some of his stuff back, I think. Fast forward, GURPS Cyberpunk. Wow. So fast forward many years later, and in 2001, Steve Jackson puts out Munchkin. And believe it or not, I couldn't find my original Munchkin box. I have it. It's somewhere. I have so many games. But it was a box with cards. And it was a card game. And I didn't get it when it first came out. Now, before we go right into Munchkin, because I do want to teach you a little bit how to play this thing, because a lot of people have it. You can get this game anywhere. You can get it at Barnes & Nobles, and there are a million versions, and I'm going to talk about that tonight. But before we do, Steve Jackson also produced something that's quite extraordinary. A work of art, a labor of love. Ogre being his game that he kind of put himself on the map with, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, he re-released this game in its original price, and that's this. $2.95. And I got it, and I played it, and I loved it, and I thought, wow, I never played this when it came out. I wish I did. It's actually an amazing game. The problem is the pieces are tiny. You have these little tiny chips with info on them, which was a popular way to have nerdy board games in the 70s. Well, he did a new version of Ogre called the designer edition, and it was put on Kickstarter, and it was for Ogre fans, and it was a $2.95 game that's now $100. I forget what it went for in Kickstarter. Well, guess what? It's the world's heaviest game. It actually has a warning on it that you need 2 people to pick it up. And I'll show it to you right now. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this out, but I don't even know how to bring this into frame. Folks, this game literally is massive 25-pound version of Ogre. And I'm not kidding you. It is literally, let me turn it around. It is literally a 25-pound board game that actually should only cost $2, but we like to do things over the top, the nerd people, and so he did this. And it came with the Ogre's a tank. You're like futuristic tanks. And this one, they came in cardboard. Wow. So that is the world's heaviest game. Now, let's get into Munchkin. What is it? Well, here's the deluxe edition, which you can find this in a lot of places. I'll show you the cover. Kill the monsters, steal the treasure, stab your buddy. Munchkin. Now, what's the fluff? What's the story? What's the genre? Well, regular Munchkin we're going to talk about before we get into the million versions that exist. Regular old Munchkin with the guy with the helmet and the chainsaw. Munchkin is referring to a type of nerdy gamer. So this game is a spoof on the Dungeons and Dragons genre, but it's referring to a type of player called, we always called them power gamers, but some people called them Munchkins. I guess somehow that became a term. We didn't have it. So I didn't know this when I first started playing this, that's what it came from. But a power gamer, let me think about this. Okay, so when you play Warhammer, the game with the army on the table where you have miniatures, it's not 100% of a fair game, meaning when you build your army, you can make it cheesy. So it's called the Collector's Edition, that Ogre game. I think you can get a copy for a few $100. No one wants it. It's too big. A power gamer basically doesn't care about the fluff. And so they'll play the game in a manner that kind of goes against the storyline and the fluff just so they can win. They're not there to have fun. They're there to win. And to me, one of the things I liked about the nerdy game business are a lot of these games aren't designed to power game. If you want a power game, play chess. You can't accidentally win chess, you know? If you like fluff, I'm a fluff gamer. I like the background story. To me, that's what draws me in. And so, in Munchkin, the reason why this game is fun, and a lot of people don't know this is why they don't have a good game experience, maybe. But it's encouraging you to be a power gamer. It's telling you to be cheesy and over the top. It's telling you to exploit the rules. That's the whole point of the game. To act like a big-headed goofball who thinks they know everything about gaming. You're encouraged to be that person in this game, which is why I love it so much. I'm not a power gamer. I hate power gaming. But in this game, when I play it, I kind of turn into a jerk on purpose. And it's kind of why it's fun. Because the bigger a jerk you are, the better it is to have someone beat you, you know? Ogre. Nope. The $43 on Amazon. Yes, you are in live. The $43 version on Amazon is not that. It comes in a regular size box. I don't have that one. It's probably basically that game in smaller size. It doesn't have nearly what that is. There's no way. When I got that in the mail, I couldn't believe it. I actually saved the box it came in because it was so awe-inspiring, the cardboard outer box. Um, well, the beginning you can go back and watch the. I haven't gotten into the meat yet. I'm just getting started, Camille. So no worries. So yeah, let me put this here, my notes. So Tom Vassell, who's a very famous game nerd online who runs a show, Dice Tower. He's one of the Dice Tower guys. He said that Munchkin, the original one when it came out, the card game, was overpriced. It had limited replayability, and it has poor and tedious game. It's a poor and tedious game experience. Fast forward 20 years later, because it came out in 01, it's still here. And there's a reason why it's here. So, I got my copy 2005, maybe? I did not pick up Munchkin when it came out. It's not my type of game. I'm not a card game guy. I used to be, but I'm not into them. So, I got it. My son, when he was little, 5, 6 years old, a friend of the family gave it to him for Christmas. Now, he was a little kid, but we were playing nerdy games already. I was teaching him how to play. Being a parent, I was like, my God, I have someone to play games with? This is wonderful. Like, I'm going to get him on the game nerd stuff. So we played it. And I remember when we first played it, my initial reaction was, that was fun, but it's kind of dumb. And it's not really competitive with strategy. But we played it anyways. But kind of quickly, and I mean kind of quickly, we realized that with a little bit of effort, we can make this game quite extraordinary and really fun. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Yeah. I like Tom too. I love that we have real game nerds in here. It's great. I like him. I watch all of these guys. But I have very different tastes than he does. That's usually what it is. We like different flavors. So the game itself, before we get into it, I just wanted to explain a little bit of the format of what happens, because it's kind of a simple setup. All right, un momento. Wait, oh yeah, here. So I'm going to move this. We don't need these. These are playmat. Wait do you see what Munchkin has involved with it at this point, because basically it's a really simple game. You need 1d6, and when I got this game, I still have my original d6. I don't even know if the original one came. What? It's not even in here. Oh, here it is. This is my original d6 that I've had since the very first. That's the one, is the Munchkin character, but it's just a d6. Quickly after, they put out a Christmas set that had a die, a Christmas Munchkin dice. And believe it or not, this actually gets used a lot. Not a lot, but it gets used in the game, which is kind of funny. We'll get to that. So it came with just cards and one dice. That's it. And there's 2 types of cards. That's it. There's only 2. Well, actually, that's not true, but the basic set. There are door cards that look like this on the back. And there are treasure cards that look like this on the back. And in those 2 types of cards, you have a little deck for each one. Usually a stack like this. When I play it, the stack is like, it's a little high now. So, here is the system. The point of the game is to get to level 10 and win. When you get to level 10, you win. And there's different ways to go up levels. One way is you kill a monster. And most monsters, you only go up 1 level. If you kill a level 20 plutonium dragon, you go up 2 levels. Okay? Another way to go up a level is you just play one of these. Hanging out with Conan, go up a level. There's another one that says, I bought the Game Master miniatures. go up a level. There's a million go up a level cards, okay? There are other ways to go up levels. If you sell items of 1,000 gold pieces, you go up a level. And then there's some other funny ways to do it. So that's it. Go up a level and win the game. Hit 10. The other thing that those cards do is they create your character that you're playing. So in the door deck, you've got monsters to kill. You've got curses that can happen to you or to somebody else. There are items in the door deck. And there's also race and class. 2 different types of cards. And there's sex cards. Gender is in the game. There's male and female. But then there's cards that mess around with that. Meaning, it says in the game that you are the gender that you are when you start. But during the game, you could flip. And certain cards, certain genders can use. Certain cards, certain genders can't use. Same with race, same with class. There's limitations on each one. And they're always, they can change in the game too, which is kind of funny. This is why this game's comedy based. And it's making fun of Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it's doing. So for instance, the races, you've got halflings and gnomes and centaurs, and you have dwarves and elves. I'm trying to think of some of the other weird ones in there. There's half orcs. There's all sorts of stuff. Classes, you've got all the classic ones. And they've added a few things over the years. So, when you get your cards, a hand of cards, and your opponent has a hand of cards, the first thing you do is you create a character. You go, all right, if you get the halfling card, you're like, okay, I'm a halfling. And I'm a ranger halfling. And I have this sword, and this helmet, and these shoes. And all the gear, you have a slot for it. You know, you have 2 hands, so you can have 2 weapons. Unless the weapon says 2-handed weapon. So you build your... Golems you can fight, but you can't be a golem. They're in the game. There's many different golems. There's hundreds of different kinds. And you have to understand there's 20 years of new cards. Which I'm going to talk about. So you build this wacko character. He might have a mount. He might have hirelings. He might have a magic dancing sword that comes along with him. He might have some weird hat that enables him to do something. It's endless. And it's kind of one of the main fun parts of the game is when you first get your cards, you're building this wacko character from the random cards you got. And they all have abilities and things they do. And when you sit back and go, wow, I'm a gnome that has 3 arms. I've got a fancy hat on, and I'm riding an attack toad, or a wolf mount, or there's a giant card, and you can use the giant as either an ally, a helper, a hireling, or a mount. You have to pick. If you want to mount the giant, you'd climb on his shoulders, and now he's your mount. Oh, okay. Oh, Munchkin Conan, I like. Munchkin Apocalypse, I don't think I liked that one. The reason why I liked Munchkin Conan is they made the backs match regular Munchkin, so you can mix it in with your regular. All those weird special Munchkins have a different back, and they don't go in this set, which is why I don't like any of those extra sets. Conan one I really liked. Look, here it is. You probably have this card. There's the go up a level. Now, that's the basis of the game. The treasure cards, there's a whole bunch of treasures and fun things in there and items and weird stuff. You have 1-use items. You have 1-use potions. You have cards that are things that you can do. Summon monsters. I mean, it is literally this giant of a game with how it plays on the table. And one of the reasons why a lot of people, I think, they play the game and they're like, all right, that was kind of goofy fun, but there's a lot of reading fine print on the cards, which is what the game is. Each card is unique. Each card can combo with other cards. And so, for example, let's say you're fighting a monster. Let's say the level 20 plutonium dragon comes to play. In my level, my fight number, because as you get stronger, you have a number that is your like fight, your attack number. It has to do with what you have. If you're a level 5, if you're at level 5, well, that's 5 points. If you have a +2 sword, that's another 2. If you have a hireling, that's another 2. If you have a special hat, that's another 2. Blah, 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 blah. It adds up. So if you got a level 20, you got to beat 20. What if you don't have it? Oh man, I can't beat it. It's gonna kill me here. I don't know what to do. You can ask other people to help you. You can ask your buddy to help you, and he comes over and aids you, and it's like, okay, together we can beat the monster. Cool, we beat it. And then the other player goes, I'm going to play this card and make the monster stronger. All right, well, I'm going to play this card to get rid of that. Well, I'm going to play this card to get rid of that. It starts to do that, and it's really fun. So this is the backstabbing part, you know? You get somebody to help you, and eventually you got to stab them in the back to win. That's kind of how the gameplay happens. And so I wanted to go over the turn in a second. I'll explain how each turn works. But I want to say this. The way to make this game fun is to curate the decks. You can't just put all the cards in. You have to play and go, you know what? There are too many go up a level cards. Let's get rid of a few. When we started doing that, the game started getting good. We started refining the deck. Because we all share the deck. It's not like my own personal deck. It's like it's a group deck. We're all using these cards. And so you have to watch the type of people you play with. Yeah. Now there's a really great video online of Will, what's his name? The guy from Star Trek, from Next Generation. I'm blanking on his name. He had a show called, I think, Tabletop, which is a very high-end board game show. There's an episode where he's playing Munchkin with Steve Jackson, and you really get to see the flavor of the game in that episode. So I'm telling you now, if you can assemble your deck so that it's a little more refined, you're going to have a better gameplay. The other thing is when you're playing the game, you have to kind of get into it on a nerdy... Yeah, Will Wheaton. There we go. Ba-boom. Thank you very much, game nerds. You got to be in character. And when I mean in character, you got to play mean. You got to play aggressive. You have to kind of bluff and act friendly and then whip out your dirty tricks. Now, before I go over the turn, I want to explain something about the dirty tricks in this game. Because there's some dirty tricks in the game that are, quite frankly, really kind of unfair. For instance, if you show up to a game of Munchkin and... Why didn't I put these out? They make these bookmarks, and I have lots of them, and I don't know where I put them. Where are they? How do I not have them here? We don't use them that often, that's why. No, I don't have any. How do I not have them? Basically, it's literally a cardboard bookmark. And a lot of them will just give you a little advantage in the game. Some of them you have to tear the bookmark after you use it. So it's literally a one-use cheat. Oh, here's one. If you show up to play Munchkin at your buddy's house, and you have one of these, and you go, all right, let me get out my play mat. Okay. Now, this play mat, you don't need this. But, look, it shows you where to put your cards. You know, you put your hand, your armor. You only get one armor, one headgear. See, it's got a spot for it. One-shot items. Your class, your race. But this one has a cheat space. A space that lets you use a card that you can't use. Like, if you're a guy and you get a card that for only girls, you get to play the card. If you're a warrior and you have a wizard card, you get to use the wizard card. So, yes, it's unfair. It's encouraging you to be a power gamer and be a goofball. One of the items Steve Jackson made for this game that I really wish I owned, I don't have one, you can get them online still, they made a t-shirt that actually had rules printed on it. And you have to wear it under your shirt and hide it, and at the last second you take the shirt off and you get the benefits. There are cards in the game that are only good at certain hours of the day. There are cards that say if your phone's on the table, you get this penalty. I mean, it starts to get really wacko of how the cards work. I just recently room for a bluff card. Oh, what does that mean? No, there's room on here for a cheat card. There's like the products that they put out for the game. A lot of them have a cheat on them. For instance, in the game, you're counting from level 1 to 10. So when they put out this deluxe edition, which is this, the reason why it's in a box is it came with a board, and we do use this quite a bit. And all the board is just for you to keep track of your level. And it came with these little tiny, and it's funny, I never painted these because to me they're just color-coded and weird. But little Munchkin guy, and you just move up to level 10. And it's got a spot for the treasure cards and the discards and the door cards and the discards. That's it. You don't need this. It's just fluff. So recently they put out another way to keep track of your level, and you bring this giant D10 that weighs a lot. It weighs 2 pounds. And now you keep track like this. But it came with a deck of its own cards. It came with a stack of cards for each level that only you get to use if you have that dice. Is it cheesy? Yeah. Is it an advantage? Yeah. It is what it is. If I can't wait to show up to someone's house that doesn't know I have this and take it out and win the game with it. It's funny. It's a meta game, and I love it. So here's how the game works, and then I'm going to tell a couple funny stories because we go to game conventions, my family and I, and we have some funny stories. Because I've met Steve Jackson. I was trying to find, I have a great picture with him. I couldn't find it. So the game works like this. And I'm going to explain in this a house rule. Because we made a house rule a long time ago, and I noticed it did make the game better. And if you're a Munchkin player, you should use this rule. So, the first thing you do is you shuffle the cards, and everybody gets 4 doors and 4 treasures. So you start with 8 cards. Normally, you're only allowed to have 5 in your hand holding. You're allowed to hold 5 cards at all times. If you're a dwarf, you get 6. If you have special cards, you get more. You have your 8 cards. The first thing you do is play any cards you want right there. You go, ooh, if you have an item that you want to use, one of our house rules is it has to be out. You can't go, ooh, I have a throwing knife in my hand. I'm going to use that. No. It has to be out already. So you put your one-shot items, you put your weapons that you can use, your hat, your armor, if you have it. If you don't put anything. Sometimes people have nothing when they start. They have a terrible hand. You put your race card, you put your class card, whatever you got, you build your character. And then usually when we do that, before we start, we go, okay, what do you got? It's like, I got a halfling wizard. Cool. What do you have? I'm a human, and all I got was a cool sword. You don't have a class or a race. You're just a human. What do you have? I'm a human cleric, and I've got a funny hat of distraction or whatever. And pantyhose of strength, which is pantyhose of strength is a weapon. It's an armor. And then after you do that, you roll a dice to see who goes first, and the directions tell you. I remember this is quite amusing. It says, starting the game. Decide who goes first by rolling the dice and arguing about the result and the meaning of this sentence, and whether the fact that a word seems to be missing any effect. That's how it says to start. So there you go. Right away, it's causing trouble. So then you just take turns. And here's the turn. The first thing you do when it's your turn is get cards on the table you need. If you got to go up a level, right there. If you want to put out a new sword, right there. If you're a dwarf and you're sick of it and you want to be a halfling, great. Do it right there. You can do that at every turn. Next, the main thing starts when you kick open the door to see what is in the next dungeon room. And the kick open the door is you literally turn over the top door card. If it is a monster, you have to fight it, even if it's a level 20. If it's a level 1, you're in luck. If it's a level 20, you're in trouble, especially early in the game. You also might turn over a curse that will affect you right there. You also might turn over an item. If you do that in opening the door, you get to play it right there. Oh, I got this. All right, I'm going to put it out. As soon as that's done, let's say you don't get any monsters to fight, and you want to fight monsters, it makes you go up levels, and you didn't really get anything good. Next is a phase called Look for Trouble. That means you get to, if you have a monster in your hand that you've been holding on to, you can be like, hey, I want to fight this monster now. So it's always good to have one in your hand. Little tip, especially a low level one. And then, after you fight that monster or not, the next thing you do is loot the room. If you have no monster to fight, then you just get an extra door card and no one gets to see what it is. So if you go in a room and there's no monsters and you don't have any monsters to fight and you're like, nothing's happening, you get a door card and you get to keep it. Now, the end of the turn is if you have more than 5 cards, you get to play them right now on your table and get rid of them. If you can. If you can't play cards, why, then you have to give it, it's called the charity phase, you have to give it to the lowest level player. If there's no low level player, then you can discard. And that's every turn. That's all you do. That's it. Now, one thing people don't always remember, you can sell 1,000 gold pieces of items to go up a level. Which is what I try to do a lot. You know, you're trying to sell stuff and go up levels. One thing people forget is level 9. When you get to level 10, you have to kill a monster. You can't use some cheesy card or anything. You have to actually kill a monster. It could be a level 1 bunny in your hand. You could have one in your hand ready to go. And if you turn the door over and there ain't a monster to fight, you go, oh, I'm going to fight a level 1 bunny and win the game. Now everybody's going to gang up on you and try to stop you. But that's the basic idea of a turn. And when it comes to fighting a monster, they have a number. It could be a 2, a 1, a 20, a more. And your number has to beat their number. And they made these really cool kind of cheesy counters. Here's the Christmas one. They always put out holiday cards for this game too. There are Christmas cards. There are Easter cards. There's also Valentine's Day cards. There's all sorts of themed things in this game. This was their Christmas kilometer. A kilometer just keeps track of your fight number. So when you start the game, you're level 1. And so it looks like literally you're that. You're 1. As soon as you create your character, it could go up right away. If you have a level 2 sword, a level 2 helmet, a level 1 helper, and that's 5 right there. Now you're at a 6. And maybe you have some one-shot items that are a couple points, and you might need those few points to beat a monster. Let's say you're at a 6, and you get a level 7 sparkly vampire, which is making fun of the Twilight stuff. You need a couple points. If you have one-shot items, you can use those to get it up. And once you're like, hey, I have enough to beat this thing, other people might say, no, you don't. And there's a million ways to make it hard for you to beat that monster. So that's how it works. It's very simple. That's why the game's kind of cool. It's simple, yet way complex when it comes to how you're going to puzzle it all together. Hence, the more you play this game, the better it gets. The more familiar you are with combos. Here's a little thing that you should know. Halflings, one of their special abilities is they can sell one item for double its price every turn. So an item that's 500 gold pieces is actually a level because it's 1,000 gold pieces. I've had a halfling and I've gone 3 levels in one turn by selling things because of his little doodad, his little power. So that's what I'm saying. You start to learn, like when I get my cards, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I see how I can win this game. One of the things I always tell people is try to go up a level every turn. Whether it be killing a little monster or selling something or using, if you're a thief, you can steal items from other players and then sell them. It's a trick you can use. Now, a little story. Me and my kids and my family have been playing this game so much now that we kind of know a lot of the sneaky stuff to do. And every time we would go to Gen Con, the biggest game convention in the world, I remember the first time we knew Steve Jackson was going to be there, and I never really met him, but I was like, I want to meet him. I'm going to get him to sign something. We were like, okay, and we'll probably do this year too. We played a final game of Munchkin, a round. When we do a round of Munchkin, it's best of 3. You play 3 games. Whoever lost had to say something stupid to Steve Jackson. And my little girl was nervous that she was going to have to do it. I lost both times. The last 2 years, I lost. And I had to go up to Steve and say, Steve, I like turtles. So I went up to him, and I went, hey, Steve Jackson, I got to tell you something. I like turtles. And he went, oh, really? I happen to like turtles, too. And then I went, yeah, I lost a bet and had to say something stupid to you because we play Munchkin. And he thought it was funny. But I got Steve Jackson to sign my Duck of... Well, actually, the first year we had this. The first one he signed was this. The Duck of Many Things. He signed it and he even drew a little pyramid. Look at that. He drew a little pyramid. Oh, there, it's upside down. He drew his little Steve Jackson pyramid. And then, let me see. On this year... This is the Duck of Doom, another famous card from our original set. He signed it. There's a lot of rubber duck references, and they're like bad luck in this game. So let me just read to you one of the coolest cards in the game called the Duck of Many Things. And this card pops up occasionally. If you play this card, some cards say you can play at any moment. This one doesn't. So you have to play this at the beginning of your turn or at the end in our house rules. One of the rules it says in here is you can play cards whenever you want. We don't like that. It jumbles the game a bit. It's a little recommendation I have. Unless the card says play at any time. Duck of Many Things. Do the following in this order. Randomly take a card from the hand of the player to your left. Give a card of your choice to the player on your right. Take the top discard pile from either deck. Sing a little song. Go up a level. Discard 2 cards. Discard this card. And that is the Duck of Many Things. It's quite amusing. The Duck of Doom is a lose 2 levels card, which is nasty in this game. That is an ouch. Oh, here's an example of an item that you can play in the game that doesn't use any hands. It's not a helmet. It's not shoes. It's not any gear. So it doesn't take up any gear slot. It's called the Other Ring. It's a +2 Other Ring. It's a reference to Lord of the Rings. You may automatically run away from any combat, regardless of any cards playing you, but you lose a level. You may also use it as a wishing ring to cancel a curse, discarding it afterwards. This item is worth 1,000 gold pieces, so it's also a go up a level. You could sell this and go up a level. And it removes a curse. This is a powerful card. This would be one to have him sign, maybe. This is a great item to steal if you're a thief. So, you see the flavor of the game. I think you can get a vibe of what it is. Now, Steve Jackson sold the rights to this game to another company who does different editions. There's a Marvel edition. There's a Warhammer edition. There's many trademark famous things of this. There's a new SpongeBob one coming out. Now, here's why I don't like any of these. They're not supported. There's not a lot of cards that they're making to keep going with those editions. They have a different back so that you can't mix them in with these. And the fluff is specific to that, whatever it is, whether it be Marvel or Nickelodeon crap. Not for me. I like this fluff, and I like the fact that it's a massive game with all this weird crap. They just put out a set of Dungeons and Dragons style dice that had cards that you put in here now that'll say get out the D20 for this specific set, which I love. I love dice. Any reason to use dice, I love. So, you know, they're supporting the regular Munchkin, and every year they put out new cards, and I like them. Now, one of the things that me and my daughter do every year is we purge. We take the decks that we use, and the decks that we do use, I will show you how big they are. The door deck that we use in the game, and this is the master door set, is this big. It's that thick. I think when you buy Munchkin, it's like that thick. Come on, focus, focus, focus. There. And now it's this thick. And the treasure deck is about the exact same. This is it. This is my master door set, and the master treasure set is here. This is it. This is all we need to play the game. We have refined the thousands of Munchkin cards down to these decks. They have a little bit of the races, the classes. There's some go-up levels, not too many. There's the balance of curses. When we get new cards in the game that we want to add to this, we add them. But we also try to purge a few so that we don't get out of hand. So in one game session, this door card, we're going to get a great variety out of it, and we're not going to repeat too many cards, and it's pretty cool. They also make, and it's funny because we do use these, there's the princess cards. The fairy princess cards look like this. Or the fairy dust. I call them princess cards, but they're the fairy dust cards. One of the rules with this is if you help somebody, you get one. We don't do that. The only time we use the fairy dust cards, actually, there's only this many fairy cards. That's it. It's just a little tiny stack. There are cards that give you, like, if you beat the main fairy card monster, you get a few of these. And then we get these out. So that's why I have them in here. Definitely you got variety. There are quest cards that you can add. We don't do those. There's a lot. Now, I hope, if anybody has questions, please ask me, because I don't like using the word expert, but I have played a lot of this game. So if anybody has a question, please ask, because I want to move to another version of Munchkin that is kind of new. In the last 4 years, I would say. And that is the game called Munchkin Dungeon. And again, this came out in Kickstarter. No longer Steve Jackson. It's the same artists. It's the same aesthetic. It's Steve Jackson influenced. It's Munchkin, but it's different. It's a miniature game. It's a board game. And there's 4 expansions. Like, here's one of the expansions. It's called Board Silly. And this expansion, it's a new boss, and it's a meeple. That's a giant meeple. If you know what meeples are, I don't know if you know what meeples are. Meeples are a very specific Dungeons and Dragons game nerd type of a pawn. So Munchkin Dungeon. It came out. Look, here's some of the miniatures right here. There's the Bullrog. Here's a wizard, a female fighter, a dwarf, a thief. Here's the Plutonium Dragon. And these are miniatures that you paint. You know, these are traditional Dungeons and Dragons style miniatures. And the game is very different, but it has the same vibe. The way that this game works is you have a board. Let me get this board. Ah. Here's the board. This is Munchkin Dungeon. And you start up here where my fingers are. And you move down, and the boss is down here. And each room that you're going through has a card that tells you what the room is. And you can see it. It could be a game room. It could be a poker room. It could be a torture chamber. It's funny stuff. And there's some random monsters scattered in there. So you can see what's coming. And the boss is what you pick. So one game, you could be like, we're going to fight the Plutonium Dragon. I'm doing this with my hand because it helps focus. It could also be the Bullrog. And those would be the bosses. And there's a level 1, 2, 3 of each one. We have never killed a level 3 boss. My daughter killed a level 2 boss not long ago. And each expansion introduces a new boss, more monsters, and more people to play, which I love. Like right now I'm painting the final set. I've painted everything except for one thing, which is halflings. I just finished this one. This one introduced elves and rangers. And I'll show you what it looks like. I like this game. I really do. Again, when I first played this, I didn't like it. I was like, eh. But you gotta keep playing it. Here you go. Here's the entire set. This is one of the expansions. This came with the red dragon and the killer gazebo. I don't know if you can see these. That's the entire set painted. If you follow my Boardgasm page on Instagram, you'll see close-ups of these. I painted this entire set so that every single miniature looks stoned. It was inspired because the stoned golem, let me show you him. The stoned golem is one of my favorite characters in this game. He's a golem with a bong. It's a stone golem with a bong. I like this game. Here's what happens. Here's the hook. As you're moving your pawn down the dungeon, every room you go, there's a pool called the threat pool. And it means it's getting more dangerous. It also means the other players can play more whammies on you. As soon as your character gets to where it's going, like, all right, I'm going to stop here and fight this monster, all the players can make it harder. And they do. And that's the game. That's what you're doing. You can also stab your friends in this game. You can show up and fight them. You can fight each other. And then the buzz is trying to kill the boss. And you got to get to him, which is hard to do, and then fight him. And once you kill him, now it's a level 2. Like I said, we've never got to killed a level 3, and that's kind of fun to try to do. I like it. It's fun. I would only recommend Munchkin Dungeon if you're into miniatures and painting. It's a better game when they're painted. It looks cool as hell. And if you're not into the miniatures, then play regular Munchkin. It's got they're similar in their vibe and their goofiness. Regular Munchkin is way more elaborate in the combos. I will say, Munchkin, this version of Munchkin... Ooh, why are these cards over here? What is this? I don't know why these cards are here. I like Munchkin... Oh, here's those bookmarks. Remember I was telling you about the bookmarks? They look like this. They're just like a cardboard bookmark. I like this game. I think it's well made for its price. I think if you like Munchkin Dungeon, you're going to want all of it. You're going to want every set. And I kickstarted it. And when you kickstarter these, you definitely get a deal. You know, oh, sorry for the noise. Putting this back in. When you kickstarter these games, you definitely get way more for your money than you would get buying it in the store. And you usually get some exclusives. Why is this not closing? I wish they made the miniature trays better. But now see, this box won't even close. Look at that. How does that even... I don't even understand that. Let me try it this way. Let's try it this way. Aha! Solved. Solved. And solved. Yeah, I'm a fan. I think Munchkin Dungeon... I'll show you what the character cards look like. Oh, they've made guy and girl versions of each class. And the miniatures are adorable. Like, look, there's the girl dwarf in here. Look how cute she is. There's Rangers. I'm right now doing the last set. Oh, yeah. This one had the girl. Now, one more thing I wanted to say about Munchkin. Just one thing. Where is... Oh, yeah. Here, I wanted to show this to you, too. So this is the regular Munchkin miniatures, too. That's how many came with... When you buy the original box set of Munchkin Dungeon, you get 2 bosses. You get a lot in the original set. And let me put all the characters back in here so you can see. I love that it came with trays to keep your minis. Look. Look at this. That's it. That's Munchkin Dungeon. I will say not all of it fits in the box because Munchkin Dungeon has tokens, and I'm a nerd. I like it like this. It's a little easier to find them. It doesn't. A lot of these games don't all fit in their original boxes, which annoys the heck out of a lot of people. But it doesn't bother me. I'll figure it out. You saw the deluxe edition for $89, Munchkin Dungeon. I'm wondering what that deluxe edition... I mean, I have this... This is what I have. I think that's the deluxe edition. It looks like this. I'll show you. Like, here's Munchkin Dungeon in a box. This is the box of holding. This is the one that introduced elves and rangers, right? And then they did Side Quest, which introduced halflings and... No, this one's halflings and rangers. This one's elves and... What else was in here? Oh, elves. Just elves. Yeah. And then they did 2 of these. This is why when you do Kickstarter, you get all of this. That's why, like that He-Man, that came the other day, that He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. It's a lot. But, you know, for $200, you're getting like $400 worth of crap. Oh, okay. Well, dude, you're getting a lot. And then you've got this Cute as a Button and Bored Silly. Cute as a Button's great. It came with another thing to put out called the cuteness factor. And so you get points for being cute. I have this thing where I really like certain like kind of 80s little girl toys. You know the brony guys? I'm kind of a brony. Like when I got the He-Man game, like I was more excited that it came with She-Ra. Look. Where is it? Oh yeah, She-Ra and the Great Rebellion. Which was, you know, She-Ra was the little girl version of He-Man. Like, look at this. This is an expansion for the Masters of the Universe game. I can't wait. So when they did the Cute as a Button thing, I was like, wow, I love it. I love cutesy kind of stuff. So, yeah, Munchkin Dungeon, this is what it is. This is the complete set of Munchkin Dungeon. And I'm going to be honest, I've gotten thousands of hours of painting and gameplay. Really, I mean, for the last 4 years, Munchkin Dungeon got put as... It's also... Oh, I forgot to mention this. Munchkin Dungeon is something that you can teach a non-gamer. Same with regular Munchkin, all of these games. If you have a friend who's not a game nerd and can handle crazy game rules, this one's not bad. This is an easy one. This is an easy one. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 5 or a 4. Some of these games are quite hard to get into. Ogre, that big ogre game, or this little paper one, a lot harder. A lot more, I don't know what the word is. It's just the strategy on it's a little more subtle, and it's not as easy to understand. These are designed for young people to play. What is this card? Ah, they added this. This is great. These were the princess cards. This is a class. Princess. And it says boys can be princesses here too. It's funny. Yeah, you can be a boy or girl princess in this game. I just think it's fun. I think it's a goofy, fun take on the game genre. And if you're a game nerd already, this makes sense. If you're not a game nerd, you're not going to get the subtle humor, the gamer humor. Not at all. And, you know, the other thing about this game, I don't want to be here in your Munchkin dungeon. Excellent Misfit reference. I don't want to be here in your Munchkin dungeon. You're living here. Ain't no mystery why I'm in misery in hell. That's great. You got me with that one. Good one, Benjamin. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a sucker. I was literally today thinking that game nerd stuff has been a part of my life ever since I was a really little kid. And if I could just retire and do nothing for the rest of my life but paint miniatures, play games, and talk about games, I think I'm okay. I would have to say my favorite drug are board games and RPGs. And will always be that. I work, my day job is I do magic shows, and it's not my hobby. Munchkin Mars Attacks. Yes, they did that. They did. I have some of those. I bought those because I'm a Mars Attacks fan. But I never really got into the extra. There's a Munchkin Cthulhu. They actually made for Munchkin Dungeon a Cthulhu set. I didn't get it. I'm a purist. I just wanted the dungeon stuff. I bought that game for painting. I wanted to paint Munchkin miniatures. And I will say, painting Munchkin miniatures is a different style than I'm normally used to painting. And so it made me a better painter. Yeah. Wow. Oh, I was going to say, I keep forgetting this. This is an excellent present. If you want to buy someone a box set of Munchkin. Now, the regular boxes it comes in are like this. They're small. It's like a squattier version of this. And it comes with the basic cards. That's all you need. It's a great present. And if you know somebody likes, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or SpongeBob, you can buy the SpongeBob edition of Munchkin. It doesn't have a lot of extra stuff to ever buy. But if you want to buy a party game that's good for, I would say no more than 4 players. 4 players is about it. If you get more than that, it's going to slow the game down. I could see a time limit for each turn as part of the game. A sand timer. That might be a good house rule. We're pretty good. We know what we're doing, but I've played with people that take a long time in the turn. Other than that, try it out. Buy Munchkin and give it a whirl. A lot of you probably have one at home and aren't playing it. The more you play it, the better the game. I'm being honest. And take the time to make the deck good. Pay attention to the things you're seeing too much of. And it's one of the only games I have that I didn't card sleeve. You'd think I would because I have signed cards in here. For some reason, I don't want to sleeve these. I don't know why. I sleeved all my dungeon cards. The Munchkin Dungeon I sleeved. But my regular Munchkin, I didn't feel compelled to sleeve them. So I don't have an answer why. Maybe because I would have needed a lot of sleeves. But that's not why. I just like that they're just regular cards. I'm never going to sell them. I'm never going to sell them. Why would I sell them? If I was sick and dying and I knew that some of these were valuable, yeah, then maybe I would sell them. But right now, I have no intention of selling any of my Munchkin crap. I even like my cardboard counters that I have. I really do. Oh, yeah, here's Munchkin Apocalypse Kill Meter. This one was the Munchkin Guest Artist Edition. You know, these are just there's no point to these. They're just number counters. You don't need any of this crap. None. But it's fun. It's fluff. It's nonsense. It's tchotchkes. I mean, look at this. This is a D10 that weighs 2 pounds. I didn't need this. But did I? I kind of did. I kind of did need it. Wow. Ah, Ashworth. Oh, God. This almost broke my toe. Jesus. Thank you, Ashworth. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go now, put some of these games away. And I'm going to keep reading my Masters of the Universe rulebook by Simon Games. And I'm going to round off my Monday with some Game Nerd stuff for myself. And tomorrow night I run a dungeon. I run a dungeon here. We play Dungeon Crawl Classics. And we've been playing the same game, the same campaign for pretty much, I would say we're coming up on 5-6 years. I'm going to go figure it out right now. But it's been 6-year campaign of the same campaign. And that's on Tuesdays. So we were going to start filming them, but it's so hard to do. And it's just invasive, so maybe not. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like the show, comment, subscribe to my channel. Keep playing board games. Enough of the video games, okay? Put them down. Go play with cards. Play with tactile things. Paint miniatures. Please. Our future is literally going to be riddled with AI. Everything. Your boss is going to be AI soon. It's hard. It's sad, but it's coming. All the truck driving jobs are going to be AI. The whole world's going to be taken over by robots, and I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean it literally. It's going to happen. It will happen. It must happen. Humans don't want to do anything. They'd rather robots do it. I'd rather do things. I like the slow way. I find value in the slow way. And therefore, I'm going to be playing board games till the rest of my life. So, thank you, everybody. I'm going to take us out with... I don't have an outro for this show. Maybe one day I'll make one. But keep playing games and party on. Hey, what's up? If you like board games, miniatures, and the smell of paint and glue, you are in the right place. Welcome to Boardgasm.